the chat. Let's start the show.
Hey, beautiful people. It is time for another episode of the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey, Vertner, and my guest who I am about to introduce. I am so glad that you decided to tune in tonight because we're going to have a great show and we're going to talk about some money again. And I know we've been talking about money a lot, but listen, money is good for you, okay? It helps you make a bigger impact. And I know no matter how much is in your bank account right now, a lot of us can always up level and elevate our money mindset. So I'm sure we're going to get into that. If you're watching, make sure you comment, love, and share this video. Comment down below, post your questions below, and share, because you never know who on your friends list needs this info tonight, okay? So if you don't know who I am, my name is Lindsey Vertner. I am a peak potential strategist and transformational speaker. I teach female entrepreneurs and ambitious leaders how to master their mindset and increase their self-care, self-worth, and self-discipline, okay? So that is my expertise, and I'm super excited for tonight's guest because she does a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I can't wait to get into how she mixes those two together. Her name is Nichole Weaver, and she is a registered nurse and an independent financial coach. What? I know. We're going to talk about it. She was able to get rid of tens of thousands of dollars of debts in her life and in her friends and family's life. And that is what she is all about, helping you to get rid of the nitty gritty, like icky talk about money and really clearing out your debt and living the good life. Oh, while saving lives as a nurse, okay? So welcome my guest, Nichole Weaver.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. That intro is fire, by the way.
Thank you so much. Now, I know I just kind of touched the tip of the iceberg with what it is you do, but I want you to give the viewers, before we get into all of that stuff, give the viewers who is Nichole, like the real Nichole that everybody gets at home, the family and friends. Like, how did you get to be the Nichole you are today? Who is that?
Oh, we do not have time for all that. But I will tell you, for those of you who follow, I'm an Enneagram 2, which means I am a helper. I have always been a helper. That is literally like what's ingrained in me. It comes through every aspect of my life. So in terms of at home, I'm a wife and a mom, and that like helper aspect always kind of comes out there, right? Where you're just like doing things for other people. And so I love, Lindsey, I love your platform with the self-care thing, because like, especially as moms, and especially when you're a helper, you do not take care of yourself very well at all. So it's really funny because I love helping other people get to their best potential. And so I always have to turn around and be like, hey, you should take your own advice.
Right?
We should probably also do that thing that we talked about.
I feel like that is a thing with a lot of people, though. They're really good at telling other people, you should do this and you should do that. But then when it comes to themselves, it's like,
Well, you know what I think it is I think when you have an outside perspective of someone's situation and you don't have the emotion tied to that situation, it's way easier to see the right answer, right? It's way easier to say, oh, well, that's easy. You just need to sell the car. And they're like, whoa. Right? I'm just kidding. I don't tell people to sell cars, but most of the time. But I think it's true. I think when you're outside of someone's situation and you don't have that emotional attachment, it really is just way easier. But when you are like emotionally attached to that situation, it's a lot harder to like convince yourself or like do the right thing. You're like, well, but I don't like it, but it hurts and it's hard. And you're like, well, of course it is, right? So yeah, I think it makes sense, even though it still like stinks.
Yeah, so true. And speaking of, seeing that outside perspective, I know that you are a registered nurse, and just tell us how you got into that, because, you see a lot of different people that you have to help, and so you can see things from a lot of different perspectives as an outside person, and now you have to help all these different types of people all the time.
Yeah. So I've been a nurse for 11 and a half years. I actually went to nursing school right out of high school. That whole story was crazy. It was a God thing of how I even got to nursing. It wasn't even like on my radar until like the summer before my senior year of high school. And I ended up having surgery, and my nurse that took care of me, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I was like, I want to do what he's doing. And so I've been a nurse for 11 and a half years. I've been in adult critical care for that whole time. So ICU, emergency, all that, like the sickest of the sick, the really rough, really sick people. That's kind of who I've been taking care of for the last 11 and a half years. And I currently work in a cardiovascular ICU. So I work with like open heart surgery type patients. So you kind of see a lot of crazy. And I will tell you, on the line of self-care, one of the things that we've seen like a pattern of is people not going to the doctor lately, right? They're like afraid to go out of their house. They're afraid to go to the doctor. They're afraid to get seen. That they're kind of justifying or rationalizing not getting seen, and they're having some really bad consequences. So it's been a little crazy at work lately, to be honest, like not even COVID, like everything else. It's just been a little crazy at the hospital, to be honest.
Yes. Well, first of all, can everybody give some hand clap emojis down in the comments, and round of applause to our lovely guest, Nichole Weaver, for being out there on the front lines fighting this COVID crap. I almost said something else.
We all want to say something else.
Kudos to you. If there's anything, because I don't like COVID, we're beating it all over the place, right? And I know people are sick and tired of hearing COVID this, COVID that. But what would you, coming from a nurse's perspective, and you have your own family and your own life, what would you want everybody to know out there as far as maybe just some feelings you want to share, or some insight about COVID that maybe a lot of people don't have? Just what would be that thing that you would want to share out with the world?
So the biggest thing I would say, aside from wash your hands, which is just really big, is I would say don't let fear control your decisions, right? Be smart about what you're doing, be logical about what you're doing, but do not let fear be what makes your decisions for you, because you'll never make good ones. And that's like with the health and all this COVID stuff, and with your money, it goes together, right? Like the more you let fear drive you and make your decisions for you, decide to do something or not do something, the more likelihood of you making like not the best decision, short term or long term. So that would be the biggest thing I would say, is just let yourself feel the fear, but kind of release it and like push past it to make your decisions,
Yes. And that is so true. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because there's something that I always say is that when you live in fear, you fail to live.
That's good. Again.
When you live in fear, you fail to live.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yes.
It really does.
And I think a lot of people I know a lot of people allow fear to hold them back from their dreams, to hold them back from their goals, to hold them back from leaving the house or whatever it is. And they will let everybody, just pour additional fear all onto them. And that incapacitates them even more, so to speak. Right? And then they're just paralyzed and they don't do anything. And then fast forward years down the line, they don't understand, like, why am I in this spot, or why am I having all these health issues?
Yes. You just like look up 5 years from now and you're like, how did I get here? Like, how did this happen? How did I get here? What? I thought I was doing the right things. I thought I was protecting my family. I thought I was doing this, but how did we get here? And that is so, so, so true. And fear really does play a part in that. It's really sad.
Yes. And being in the nursing world and the whole medical world, I'm sure that you've seen people come in where they've literally stressed themselves to death. Like maybe they didn't die, but stressed themselves into health problems, right?
Yes.
Give us some insight on that, because sometimes they don't believe me because, I'm not a doctor, but I know some things.
It's so true. So, I mean, if you want to get super technical, stress releases cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which makes you basically go into like these fight or flight reactions in your body. And so your heart rate goes up and your blood pressure goes up and your eyes dilate and your blood vessels constrict and you lose your fine motor skills. And so all these things that happen when you're in this stress response. And there are people, myself included at times, who literally just live at a stress response all the time. And your body just can't sustain that forever. It just can't. And we have, there's a condition where your aorta, which is a big blood vessel that comes off of your heart to give the rest of your body blood, can actually like tear open. Scary. We've had like 6 in the last 4 months.
Oh my goodness.
Coming in with this condition because their blood pressure is so high. And so it's partly not that fear of going in and getting checked, but also that stress level has been so high and people have been angry and scared. And like, it's really taken its toll, to be honest. Like that's why I said, don't clap for me, because we work in a cardiovascular ICU. So we haven't gotten much COVID because they're trying to protect our surgical patients. But we're dealing with some of the sickest patients we've seen in a long time. So it's been crazy what stress does to people and how it affects your body. And it affects your ability to think. Like, think about if you're in an emergency situation, you're in fight or flight. Are you thinking 5 minutes from now? No, you're thinking right now. Like, what do I do to save my life right now? And so you stop thinking long term. You stop thinking about the future. You're only thinking about what is happening now. And when you sit in that fear and in that stress response, you can't make logical decisions. You can't make rational decisions. Like, you just can't. You just can't.
Girl, I'm giving you all the hallelujahs and amens over here, because listen, viewers, if you don't listen to me, please listen to my lovely guest, Miss Nichole Weaver, because she is giving it to you straight and added some more technicalities up in there. But do I not tell y'all that all the time, that self-care is the best care? You can stress yourself to a shorter lifespan. You can stress yourself into depression and anxiety. And a lot of those medicines that you're sitting over there on could be decreased, if not eliminated, if you would take care of yourself first.
Yes.
Jeez Louise. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and my guest, Miss Nichole Weaver. She is a financial coach and she's a registered nurse. So she knows what she's talking about whenever she just shared those nuggets with us. Okay, let's all just take a deep woosah right now. Woosah. Happy hour on the woosah. Listen, we got to help y'all get y'all's life together, okay? Over here in the comments, Rebecca says, my husband had a stress heart attack at 42 years old. Stress is a serious condition. Thank you for sharing, Rebecca. And my heart goes out to you and your husband. But this is serious stuff, folks. Serious stuff. You have got to manage your stress levels and your overwhelm, because it is literally taking away from your life.
Yes. And your kids. Their kids.
Right. And anybody that you are connected to, that you are making an impact in their life, you taking away from them as well.
Sure.
Now, please tell us how you made the shift from registered nurse into financial coaching, and how did you mix those two worlds?
4 words: nursing school student loans. Okay. So I've always liked math. So like that was never like a surprise that I liked math, but I got into nursing, like I said, right out of high school, took out a ton of student loans, went to a private school I couldn't afford, like all these things that people are doing today that are struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did them. I lived it. I went through it. I've been there. I worked entirely through college. But even after that, I still thought I was budgeting. I thought I was on a budget. But really all I did was pull up a spreadsheet, put my paycheck at the top and write my bills down. And like, that was it. Like, that's it. I just wrote my bills down. I just tracked my bills. And so when I met my future husband, at the time, now husband, I remember one day he said, we were talking, he was about to move to Europe with the Army. And so we were talking about me visiting, like, what was I going to look like? And I was talking about student loans, and he was like, well, I'm pretty sure I have enough money in savings to bring you over to visit and buy you a ring and pay off your student loans. And I was like, okay, we'll talk about the ring thing in just a second. But I was like, I don't think that you really know how much student loans I have. And that was like this moment where I was like, number one, I felt like a lot of guilt and like shame for like, oh, I have a lot. But at the same time, it was like this realization that like, if we were going to get married and if I was going to get these things paid off, we needed to talk about it. I needed to have a plan. I couldn't just sit there and like cross my fingers and hope that it sorted itself out. Like, I think at the time I was even I put my payments on deferment because I was back in school. Like I didn't have a plan. And so we got married, we moved overseas, we dealt with living on a single income, we made some stupid decisions with cars, and ultimately we found the Dave Ramsey plan, and we started doing that kind of. So we got intense. And when I say we got intense, I mean like so intense. Like, didn't go out to eat, didn't do anything fun, like weren't allowed to buy new clothes. I didn't get my hair done or my nails done, like so intense. And we paid off the balance of my student loan in like 6 or 8 months, like really, really fast. Because we were working, we both had income. And we got to the end of that and we were like, I'm tired. Let's have fun. I need to have fun. So we're like, let's just take 1 month off from paying off debt and like have fun. 1 month turned into 6. And in that 6 months, we racked up another $14,000 in consumer debt because we weren't paying attention. So this is where I'm telling you this story because I want people to hear that like I've been there and done it.
Like, can you share how much your student loan debts were that you paid off in some months?
So mine, I started when I came out of school at 32,000, and by the time so that was when I was 22. By the time we started paying off the balance, I was 28. Mm-hmm. So I had already been making payments for like 6 years, and I had about 18 left. So I hadn't even gotten all the way down halfway in that 6 years. And so we paid off like 18 grand in like 6 or 8 months.
Congratulations there. But I think that is an important point to make because you said that you guys like totally went strict on everything, cut out everything. And I think that's one, what scares a lot of people from budgeting. And two, a lot of people do think budgeting is just taking a paycheck, writing out your bills, making sure everything gets paid. But budgeting is so much more than that. And this is a key point that you can, give your insights on is that what I've learned is that you have to budget in the fun stuff as much as you're doing all the bills and paying down the debt. And so you don't get that. It's like that, like an eating disorder, where they starve themselves and then they binge.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Starving themselves and
totally.
Goodness gracious.
This what I say is, so long story short, we figured out the right way to do it. I started helping other people, and now I do it as part of my business, right? Because I've been helping people for years without getting paid, and I was like, hey, I've been helping friends and family, right? So this is what I say: is a budget is not something that controls you. A budget is something that you control. Mm-hmm. A budget is not something that controls you. It's something that you control. And I've had people tell me, I would get on a budget, I would pay off my debt, but then it would suck all the fun out of life. And I'm like, but it doesn't have to because you control it. It's all about taking the driver's seat. I say taking the driver's seat on your money journey, right? It's all about you taking control, being aware of what's happening to your money. I can't tell you how many people literally they'll go, I work so hard and I have nothing to show for it. And I'll say, well, what are you spending on different things? And they're like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's that lack of awareness and mindfulness and intentionality that becomes a problem for a lot of people. So 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That means that if they lost even one paycheck, they would get behind on their bills. One paycheck, they would get behind on their bills. And over 50% of Americans would not be able to cover a $500 to $1,000 emergency. Here's the one thing I want to point out, because when people hear that stat, they're like, yeah, people are poor in America. 78% of Americans are not poor.
Right.
Like, that's not the level of people that are below the poverty line, okay? Like, there are people making $200,000 a year living paycheck to paycheck because they're not paying attention and they don't have a plan and they're just spending all of it. So I want everyone to hear that this is not like, if you have enough money, you can budget. No, this is like, if you have any money, you should budget.
Right.
If you have an income, you should budget. Like, no matter where you're at with it, because it's just a matter of having a plan and putting it on paper and you controlling that. And I always say, give yourself permission to eat out. Now, if you're in $180,000 worth of debt and you only have a $40,000 income, you should probably not be eating out much,
right?
Because you have a huge hole and a tiny shovel. So there is an aspect of let's prioritize things, right? Like, you have to look at priorities and you have to have that long-term perspective. But at the same time, I'm like, give yourself permission to eat out one time a month. Give yourself permission to eat out one time a week, whatever it is. If it fits in your budget, have you heard of the diet plan? It's like, if it fits your macros, right? Okay. If it fits your budget, you can do it, right? It's the same thing. And so people, they refuse to look at it, because they think that it means that they're never gonna be able to have fun. And it's just not true. It's just not true. You can have fun. You can do the good things. It's about being mindful and intentional with your money and having an actual plan for what you're doing with it and not just like looking at it.
Right.
I was doing. I was like, it's there.
Right. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and my lovely guest, Nichole Weaver. She is a financial coach and registered nurse, which we talked about earlier. And now we're talking about money. So definitely make sure you post all your questions, whether it's about nursing and the med life, or whether it's about money, or whether it's about anything else. Post your questions down below and share this video out, because you never know who needs this information. So with that said, I think that this is a great time to find out exactly
what's in your cup.
Yeah, this is the part of the show where we find out what our guest is sipping on, and she's going to give her cup some cup cam in just a second. But you that is listening at home or watching with your eyes, make sure you post down in the comments what you are drinking on tonight. And if you don't have a drink in your hands, then tell us what you're going to fix yourself after you're done watching the show, okay? So, Miss Nichole, what is in your cup?
I love my Supergirl mug. So I actually have, and I'm so excited because it turned out really good. So it's just hot chocolate, but it's not just hot chocolate. It's hot chocolate with apple pie moonshine.
Apple pie moonshine?
Oh, yes. Apple pie moonshine from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, my favorite place in the whole dang country. So we went to Gatlinburg for Thanksgiving or just before Thanksgiving last year, and we drove, and because we drove, we got to buy a bunch of moonshines. We had moonshine in the trunk all the way home.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
I never would have thought, like, one, I am a very, I like to call myself an elementary drinker. I like all the soft liquors, the rum and the flavored vodkas and the mixed drinks. My husband, he can do like the hard stuff. Like, oh, we went to the moonshine testing place, and when I say, like, I thought I was going to die, I swear I was dying. I was like, I can't take that shot. Just skip me on this turn. Skip me. And everybody else is like taking it to the head, and they're like, "Ooh, this one tastes good," and I'm like,
I love it. I prefer the higher proof alcohol in smaller volumes. So like I prefer like strong vodkas and moonshines, but in smaller volumes. I don't drink much at all. Like this is probably the first alcoholic beverage I've had in like 2 months.
It's okay. Hashtag no judgment zone. As long as you are responsible with your drinking, we are fine with it here on the Happy Hour show. But I never would have thought to mix apple pie with hot chocolate. If anything, this is what I like to do. So I like to drink hot chocolate. FYI, I don't like chocolate, but I like to drink hot chocolate. But I like to put rum chata in mine.
Ooh.
Or some Bailey's cream.
See, I don't like Bailey's.
Try it in your hot chocolate. See if try it with the rum chata instead. Try that. And the little
with like cinnamon. So the nice thing with the apple pie moonshine, it has a little bit of that apple flavor, like the undertones, but then it has like all the spices. So it has like the cinnamon and the like nutmeg and like that in it. So it actually fits really well in the hot chocolate. I don't know. I like it. It's good.
Goodness. Oh my, now you got me wanting to try it, even though I'm not like a moonshine person. But yes. So what I am drinking, well, before I share what I'm drinking, let's see what our guests are drinking. Miss Rebecca is drinking coffee. How do you like your coffee? Is it black? Is it cream in there? Do you got some flavor? Is it Starbucks? Is it Keurig? Tell us what kind of coffee is in your cup.
Rebecca is honest about what kind of coffee is in your cup now.
Right. And it's okay if it's some special ingredient, you know. Do you, boo. I am drinking lemonade today. And my cup says, practice happiness.
Okay.
I actually got this cup. My mom got me this cup last time she visited the other weekend. She got me two. She was like, Lindsey, I see that you always use different cups on your show, and so I wanted to get you some cups. My mom doesn't sound like that, but I was like, oh, thanks, Mom. And so this is my oversized mug with my lemonade in it.
I think my mom got me this one too. I don't actually know. I don't know where I got it. But, you know, when you're a nurse and a mom and a wife and a financial coach and keep a house and do all the things, you feel like Supergirl. So it's just appropriate.
Right? Because you are. Rebecca says that she is drinking French press coffee with cream and sugar. Sounds fancy. So thank you for sharing what's in your cup and getting back to the show. So we've talked about, you know, being in the nursing world and how going to nursing school and racking up all that student loan debt is what led you to get into understanding finances and understanding debt and budgeting. And then after helping yourself, you started helping family and friends. And then you're like, hold on, y'all are using up my time and energy. Let me actually capitalize off of my intellectual property, which as you absolutely should, girlfriend. So what tips would you give the viewers out there as far as if they have no clue where to start with a budget or understanding their finances?
So the easiest thing, I always say, keep your budget simple, and it stands for SIMPLE. Okay, you ready? So are you ready? You ready?
I have some pen and paper ready. Okay. SIMPLE. Simple. She's about to give us the jewels.
Keep it simple. KISS method. Keep it simple, sweetie. Okay. The S stands for simplify. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to have a category for literally every possible thing that could come up, right? Keep it simple. Simplify. Okay. The I stands for income. So your income goes at the top of the paper. So typically we go by month. Some people will go by paycheck. It's up to you, but just put your income at the top. M stands for make a list of your expenses. So this could be your major categories like utilities. It could be groceries, food. Maybe you have a student loan you have to pay. So whatever your expenses are, your categories, include the fun stuff, include luxuries like getting your nails done, include going out to eat, include everything. Make a list of your expenses. And then the P stands for prioritize them. Okay. Prioritize your expenses. Most important things go at the top. Most important things, housing, utilities, food, and transportation, right? You got to have a roof over your head. You got to have food on the table. You got to have the lights on. You got to be able to get to work. Okay. So those are the important things, and then prioritize. L stands for look at each month individually. So look at each month individually, meaning don't go, okay, well, that's what I did in August, so I have to do the same thing in September. No, every month is different. There's different things going on. And then the E stands for every dollar gets a job. Every dollar gets a job. So as you put your income at the top and you go down through those list of prioritized expenses for that specific month, you're going to make sure every single dollar gets a job. And so at the very bottom, you're going to get to zero, right? Because you're going to give every dollar a job, whether that's paying off debt, taking you out to eat, getting your food and groceries, whatever it is. Okay. That's my biggest tip. So this is the thing with budgeting is it doesn't have to be hard. It is so simple. Put your income at the top, make a list, prioritize it, and give every dollar a job, and do that every month for that month specifically. It's so, so simple. That is the easiest way. And if you could just start doing that and start making a plan and being more aware of what's happening with your money, you'll be amazed at the kind of progress that you can make if you can just actually start being mindful of what's going on with your money.
Yes, yes. And just in case y'all didn't get y'all pens and papers out when I told you to, I know it came out of nowhere, but y'all should know by now. We are 9 episodes into the Happy Hour show. You should know that my guests are always going to drop some nuggets of knowledge, okay? So just come to every episode with the pen and paper handy. But just in case, I gave you some cliff notes right there across the screen. So screenshot it, and then incorporate it into your life. The S, simplify. I is income. M, make a list of your expenses. P, prioritize. L, look at each month individually. And E, every dollar gets a job. Nice. Nice. That is awesome. Over here in the comments, Rebecca says, my mom got me my mug too. It says Houston, of course.
Of course.
And Cynthia says, cool. No worries, no worries. All right. So feel free to elaborate some more. So now that they've done this simple budget, like what is the next step after they've went through the simple steps? Where would they go from there?
So the next step is going to be actually figuring out how to keep track of your expenses. Because if you just write everything down at the beginning of the month, but then you don't think about it, look at it, or pay attention to what you're actually spending, then it doesn't mean anything. So keeping track of your expenses. Some people will do that by having cash envelopes for different categories. So basically when the cash is gone, they're done spending. Shocker. When you run out of money, you have to stop spending. I know. And then other people will just have like a ledger, like an old fashioned, like check register, you know, and they'll write things down there. You can actually find little individual pieces of paper that are just checked, like little check registers, just single slips. So you can have one for each category. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just find a way to track your expenses in each category so that you know that you're actually sticking to this plan that you created. Because otherwise it's just a bunch of numbers on paper and it doesn't do anything for you. That's the next step. And that's the biggest thing. Once you've done that, you can start actually making plans and making goals for where you want to go. When I say give every dollar a job, what happens is people get to the end, they go, oh, I have $300 left. I'll go out to eat. And you're like, no, you have $300 left. Put it towards debt. Put it towards something. Like pick a goal, one goal, and aim for it. And aim for that with as much rigor as you possibly can. Give it everything you've got until it's accomplished. And then you move on to the next one. I have someone that I talked to about her finances. She was talking about, she has like 7 student loans. And she's like, yeah, I'm just trying to like chip away at all of them a little bit. And I was like, here's the thing. You have to pick one. Like pick one and go crazy on it. And she came back to me just like a couple weeks ago. And she was like, ever since you told me that, I've paid off 2 of my student loans already. And I'm like,
see?
Oh, like if you just do a little bit of a lot of things, a little bit of progress is all you're ever going to make. So just one goal and go crazy on it with all the extra pennies you have. And then you can just move on to the next one and the next one and the next one.
I like that you said that. Did y'all hear Miss Nichole? She said, if you just do a little bit of a lot of things, then all you'll ever get is a little bit of progress. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Say it again. Say it again.
If all you do is a little bit of a bunch of stuff, all you'll ever get is a little bit of progress.
Yeah.
You put all your energy towards one thing and you're going to make so much more progress so much faster.
And that's so true in so many different areas of your lives, of our lives. With money, it's true, like with your goals, with your businesses. I mean, have you ever heard of that person that has like 50,000 businesses and every week it's something new and you're like, wait, what are you doing today? You don't ever spend money with them because you don't really know what they do. It's like this week they're selling bracelets. Next week they're selling insurance. The week after that they're selling real estate. And it's
and then the next week they're a business coach. And you're like, no, thank you.
Right. So it's okay to be multi-passionate, but you have to hone in on one great thing. And then after you do great and really elevate that one thing, go back and say, you know what? I really like painting. So now that I have this under control, I can dabble in painting and build something there and move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Yep. One thing at a time. And I'll tell you on that same line, I think it's so important that whatever it is you choose to do, and we're totally going away from money and finances now, kind of. It has to be something that you are passionate about and that you are excited about. And you're like, I must get this. And so if you're like, I don't give a flying rip about paying off debt, then reframe it that once I pay off my debt, I get to do this, right? It has to be that thing that you're like, that you're striving for, that you're trying to accomplish. I talked earlier today on my Facebook page about legacy and like what we get to leave for our kids because we're making these changes in our finances now. And it's like, you have to it has to be something that you want and are excited about. And I would tell you, I started a business way back in October wanting to do financial coaching, but believing that I wasn't qualified. And I just went in circles trying to create something that I thought might maybe make me some money. And it never picked up because I didn't care. I wanted some money, right? And once I finally was like, you know what? I just felt so strongly that God was calling me to financial coaching that I was like, I'm going to do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. This is where I'm at. And it has been so much fun to like see it grow, and like it's exciting to work through it, and it's exciting to see it become profitable, and it's exciting to like get these opportunities to just like talk to people and like share my story and also give advice. Like I'm of the belief that information is free, right? Like I'm going to give you information, and I don't believe that I'm gypping myself of anything by giving you information, because information is free. You can Google this stuff. Right? You can Google how to do a budget. When my coaching comes in, it's more of that, like, let me help you specifically. Let me look at your life and let me hold your hand. Let me bring you into this really awesome, amazing future that you can have for yourself. But I'm going to give you all the information. I love giving out the information, and I'm having so much fun with it. So when you start looking at your goals, make sure that it's something that actually like lights you up and like gets you excited, and like that's what you're aiming for. Because if you start aiming for things you don't really care about, it's so easy to just like stop and not want to keep going.
Yes, that is so true. You have to really be passionate, and I can like see you light up when you talk about nursing, and see you light up when you talk about money. And then that means that you are walking in your purpose. It brings you joy, and you're making an impact at the same time. And a lot of people that struggle with identifying what their purpose is, it's like, well, what are you naturally good at? What do you enjoy? What do people think, that you are amazing at, that maybe you're like, this whole thing? Like that's part of your purpose. So pay attention to those things that light you up and bring you a lot of happiness, even if it's a hard or struggle sometimes, even if it's hard work. Think about what comes easily to you and what lights you up.
And I also, what I say, when you've been through a mess, you get to be a messenger.
Yes.
Right? So if you've come through something and you're on the other side of it, now you get to tell people what you did to get out of it. Now you get to share your story. And like, that's where I'm at with my financial coaching, is we've we paid off $80,000 in debt. We paid cash for a car. We paid cash for a move across the country. And we have a 6-figure net worth and growing because of these things that I talk to people about, because of these things that we teach, because of budgeting and all of that. And now I get to say, I have been there. I've been there. I've done that. We lived on a single income. Like, I get it. I've been through this mess. Let me show you how to get out of it. And so if you're looking for those things, think about what mess have you gotten through and what can you become a messenger for. That makes sense?
Yes. Makes sense. If it didn't make sense to you, then make sure you go back and watch the replay, okay? And then share this video with a friend and ask your friend, what did you get out of this show tonight? And then y'all talk about it and y'all chat about it and y'all take the lesson even deeper, okay? That is what you have to do. And I think that this would be a great time to play a little game that I call
30-second hot shot. Answer the question in 30 seconds or less, or take your shot.
Yes! 30-second hot shot. So this is the part of the show where Nichole has 30 seconds to answer your questions, okay? And some of them were submitted. And if you didn't get to submit a question, you can post it in the comments right now, and I will try my best to get to it, okay? So I know we have
nervous before, and now I am.
watching from different places. So you have to make sure you post it in the comments of the original live stream, okay? You can't do it from a watch party because I can't see those comments. All right, so let me pull up my timer. And listen, if you miss the 30 seconds, you got to take a shot.
Yeah, you'll get me in Hamilton mode. Just careful.
Let's see, timer. And it can be a fake shot. It's okay. It can be
okay, sorry.
Shot of your spiked hot chocolate. Okay, so the first question that came through was, how did being in a marriage affect your relationship? I'm going to pause that question for a second because you guys weren't married yet, right?
When we first started talking about my student loans, right. We got married like 6 months later.
So, okay, well, that's still kind of close. Did you actually start working on it before or after?
I had been paying off my loans for like 6 years, 6 years before we got married. So I came into the marriage with almost $20,000 or more, 22 in student loans.
Okay, now, I didn't completely remix their question. So let me ask their question. How did being in debt affect your relationship in your marriage? Go.
So it did and it didn't. My husband is wonderful. And so it became a team effort. I fully believe in marriages that your money should be joint. It's a team effort. It's our money. And so he was like, let's do it. It's paid off. Now, again, that first couple of years, we didn't do a very good job of paying attention to what we were doing. But once we got back out of Europe and had a double income, we were on the same team. He always felt like it was our debt. We also did accumulate some that was our debt. But it was always a team effort. And I think the most important thing is conversation.
That's the time. Okay, so we'll give you that one. All right, and then the next question says, well, how did you get out of debt? Well, you already explained that. So for you, go back and watch the replay because she already explained how she gets out of debt. And next question, how do you practice self-care being a nurse?
So I work 12-hour shifts. I work 12-hour shifts 3 days a week. So I have 4 days off. So on the days that I have off that are not weekends, I sleep in, I work out, I pray and do scripture daily, but on the days I'm not working, I pay much better attention. The days I am working, I'm pretty stressed and I try to just get through the day and sleep. Sleep is my biggest self-care.
Sleep is important. And you definitely made the buzzer. You have 1 second to spare. Okay, that was all of the questions. If you didn't get your question answered, you should have submitted it. You can still post it in the comments, but I can't promise that we'll come back and see it, okay? We will do our best. No, Nichole will do our best. She is the special guest. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and my guest, Nichole Weaver. She is a financial coach and a registered nurse. I like to throw that in because they're just so opposite.
Like I said, nursing school student loans. That's how I became a financial coach.
That's how she went from nurse to financial coach. And she still does both of them, and she loves both of them. And that is just a part of living your first class life and doing what you love and creating the quality of life that you want to live. So there is a special question that I would like to ask you because you kind of touched on it earlier. And whenever you applied to be a guest on this show, you mentioned that imposter syndrome almost held you back from applying, but you applied anyway. So there's so many things that I want to touch on right there. But first, I think that it is like going on extra right now because I feel like so many people are struggling with imposter syndrome or feeling like they're not good enough or feeling like they're faking it. And you even said earlier, like you had to realize, wait, I do know this stuff. I have helped these people and I did achieve all of these things in my finances. So I'm going to do what I'm here to do. Just give us some insight on that.
Yeah. So imposter syndrome has been like a huge part of my life forever. And you start to get to a point where you just have to start ignoring it. But I will tell you the things that for me got me past it was when that first kind of business I created kind of failed because as soon as COVID hit, life got stressful. My husband is also in the medical field. And so we both were just in it. And I couldn't even remotely fathom spending any of my free time on that because I didn't love it. I didn't care. I hate to say I didn't care, but I kind of didn't. And so when COVID hit and then COVID started to get really bad and people started to lose their jobs and get laid off, the finance thing came so forefront, right? It became a thing that everyone was talking about. It became a thing. I had personal friends that were struggling hardcore with money. And I just realized that I had a gift that I could share. And so back in October, when I was like, no, I can't be a financial coach because I'm not certified. I'm not trained. I haven't done an XYZ. I have no degree in accounting. I'm a nurse, for goodness sakes. It was just a lot of rationalization of why I shouldn't go for it. And if any of you are believers, I'm telling you that spiritual warfare, like so strong, it's just the devil trying to tell you that you can't, right?
Right.
And so that I say that to say that if you have something that you know you're passionate about, that you know you have a gift to share, that maybe people come to you and ask you questions about this thing repeatedly. I mean, one of my favorite clients has never paid me a dime because it was just, she saw our struggle, she saw our journey, and she was like, how did you do this? What can I do? And I've been working with her for almost 2 years. And so things that people come to you about, people talk to you about, that you get excited about talking about, that you can fathom spending your free time talking about, those things, if you start to hear something that tells you that you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, that you're not qualified to do that, that is the dark side of the universe trying to hold you back from making the difference that you're about to make. Right? Whether you believe in the devil or just negative energy or whatever it is that you believe in, I'm telling you, there's a negative force in this world that wants to keep us from doing good, that wants to keep us from creating, from making change, from creating waves, from doing amazing things for people. And so I've come to realize that anytime I have this, no one would want to hear from you. You're not qualified. You don't have anything good to say. You don't whatever, these negative things. I have to remind myself that if I'm hearing that, it's because actually the opposite is true.
Right.
I have to push past it so that I can touch somebody's life, right? Like you have to realize that it's not real. There's a difference between what you're hearing and what's reality, like and truth. And your circumstances don't define truth. Truth is truth no matter what is going on around you.
Yes. I am in agreement with all of that. Over here in the comments, Miss Cynthia says, I'm telling my daughter that sometimes you have to work an extra job to help get rid of some debt.
I had 5 jobs at one point, you guys.
Yeah, so you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices. And Cynthia says the devil is a liar, and that is so true. And one thing that I like to say is if the devil ain't messing with you, then he doesn't consider you a threat. Okay. So think about that. Think about that. And another way to put that, if for those of you that maybe aren't spiritual like that, and that's okay. We love everybody just the same. # no judgment zone. I am a believer, but just to give you another perspective, just in case you aren't in that space. Think of it this way. Newton's third law says, giving you some science, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So that means for every up, there's a down. For every left, there's a right. For every in, there's an out. So for everything that is positive and impactful, there's also a negative side to it. So whenever you are hearing that fear and that doubt in your head, that just means the thing that you are fearful to do, the thing that you are holding yourself back from doing, the goal that you are procrastinating on achieving, it means that it is going to be very impactful once you decide to make a move towards it. That's the only reason why you're having so much opposition. So you have to get rid of that fear by any means necessary, because once you step into your purpose and you start achieving your goals, not only does it make it better for your life, but it also impacts other people that are connected to you, because your story is connected to someone else's breakthrough.
Ooh, good. It's true.
Miss Rebecca says, yes, I so needed this message today, and we thank you for tuning in. Thank you. And if you needed this message and you're getting good nuggets, then share this video out, okay? Because you never know who on your friends list or your timeline needs to hear this as well. Share the YouTube video, the LinkedIn video, the Facebook, whatever you got to do. Send the link to somebody, share it on your profile, and, put it out there. We thank you and we appreciate you. So, Miss Nichole, I am all about creating your happiness and creating the quality of life that you are living for yourself. And I have to ask you my signature question. How do you intentionally create happiness in your life?
I put my phone down. Yeah. I noticed there for a little while I was missing little things in my daughter's life. Because I had my phone on. And so I have started putting my phone down and just watching. So the putting the phone down part is the practical part. But what it really is that I watch and I observe and I take things in, because I don't know if you've seen the movie About Time, but it's this movie where this guy, he's a time traveler and he can travel back to any time or place he has already been. And so later in life, his dad, it's like a generational thing. Yeah, write it down. About Time. It's really good. So it's like a generational thing. And so his dad says, here's what you're going to do. You're going to live every day normally with all the stresses and all the worries. And then you're going to time travel back to the beginning of the day and live it again, but noticing and observing. And you'll just be happier because you'll notice all the fun things that you didn't notice when you were so stressed out about it. And so that is like a big thing for me, is that observation and just like noticing things. And I literally, I watch my daughter, the way she walks. And today, she's only 14 months old. And today it was time for dinner. And I was like, hey, okay, sit down on your bottom and take off your shoes. And she just plops down and starts taking, I was like, she understood me. And I just observing those little things and the little changes and the things that she's learned, and just kind of being present and noticing things has brought such a level of contentment and happiness that I think a lot of people need. I think we're so focused and we're so worried about things that we're missing out on noticing the good things.
Yes. And we're consumed in our electronics.
Mm-hmm.
It is an ugly necessary, right? It can really bring out the worst in you, so to speak. But it's also needed in these days that we live in at the same time. So I love that you said that. Put the phone down, put the computer down, shut it off, shut off the TV, and just be present in the moment. That is your final advice from Miss Nichole Weaver. And so thank you for coming in on the show. If you are just tuning in, we're at the end. Make sure you sign up for updates at bit.ly/happy update so you can stay tuned on future episodes. Got jumbled in my words there. Forgot what I was about to say. So you can stay updated on future episodes, which next episode is on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I will bring on my guest, Miss Keisha. There I go again. Miss Keisha Kent. So make sure that you stay updated right down there. And before we go, I want to thank my guest, Nichole Weaver. She is a financial coach, and there's her info on the screen. Make sure you follow her. And she actually has a special deal for you guys. So if you want to tell them about the consultation and your packages.
So consultations are always free. It's like a 20-30 minute call for me to get to know you and what you have going on. So if you go to my website, there's a button at the top that says schedule my appointment. Click that, schedule a consultation. We'll chit chat. We'll see if coaching is right for you. I'll give you some nuggets of advice because it's what I do. Like I said, I think information should be free. And then anybody who mentions Happy Hour Show gets 10% off all of our coaching packages. But I also have a special 90-day intensive. There it is. I love it. So I also have a special 90-day intensive going on right now. That is for anybody who feels like they're just totally not sure what they're doing with their money. We're going to create a very specific action plan. I'm going to help you make your budget. You're going to get 3 full sessions. You're going to get, just pointing this way, 3 15-minute check-ins between those sessions, accountability every single week. It's literally, you're going to come out of that 90 days with an exact plan for your money. And that's $750, which is usually $997. So I'm so excited about that intensive plan because I've already got a couple people taking advantage of it and they're seeing massive movements. And I'm so excited for them. So that is also our little happy hour special for you guys as well.
Yeah. So see, that's the perks of watching the Happy Hour Show. All right. Make sure that you connect with Miss Nichole Weaver. There's her information all over again. Make sure that you sign up for updates because sometimes my guests give exclusive happy hour specials only to the VIPs that are subscribed to the list. So make sure you sign up so that you don't miss any of those that happen. And that way you can also stay updated on future episodes. As I mentioned, coming up next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, make sure you are here. Meanwhile, my name is Lindsey Vertner. I want to thank my guest, Nichole Weaver, for joining me on the show tonight. I am your peak potential strategist and transformational speaker, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye.